Welcome everyone. Happy Friday. Glad you're here. If you're coming to this for the first time, welcome. We're gonna have a lot of fun this morning. This is literally my favorite part of the week. If you're joining us for the back again, welcome back. Last week we tried vibe coding the procurement app live. Brock is actually wrapping up the finishing touches right now. I'm gonna push it to production pretty soon. That sounds right, Brock?
That's very right. Yes, it's close. It's like maybe an hour or two out. So
Okay.
very close.
Epic. Epic. Awesome. Well, stoked everyone is here. My name's Stephen Headland, head of finance here at Rillet. We are here specifically to not talk about Rillet, but I do want to add that Rillet is not, we're an AI native ERP. We're not just built on top of Claude. So we do use Claude, OpenAI, Grok, all the models within Rillet directly. But we support both private and public companies, Mercer, Windsurf, Neuralink, Kickstarter. Really like companies looking to scale, get faster closes, and be able to spend your time vibe coding instead of closing the books. And so, if you're ready to get off QuickBooks or get off NetSuite, let me know. I also want to introduce Brock quickly. And Brock, maybe you can introduce yourself and then we'll jump in. Also, yeah, where are folks calling from? Where are you in the world today?
Lehigh, Utah. I love that. Me too.
Redwood City, Vancouver, SF, naturally, Jackson, Wyoming, Portland, Maine. Okay. I don't know if I'd say it's the best place, but I do wish I was in Portland, Maine today. I won't lie.
Portland,
Bogan,
Maine is sweet.
Nashville. I want to go to the what is it? I want to go to Maine during the in Vermont too in the fall sometime and see the trees. So jealous.
It's
Um,
during that time.
okay, Brock, introduce yourself, and then we'll bring Samuel Dezubi on the
Let's do
stage.
it. Yeah, my name is Brock Byer. Great to meet everyone. Yeah, excited to be here. We've been doing this for a couple weeks now, and it's been super fun. I'm the controller at Jump. We're the leading AI operating system for financial advisors. It's been great. I've been there for just under a year. It's maybe 9 months now, and it's been such a fun ride. We are happy Rillet customers as well. But yeah, been exploring just like everyone else in this chat, exploring all the new tools, AI, vibe coding, everything else, and just been very passionate about it. It's been super fun. So excited to be here with everyone.
Cool. Thank you, Brock. So our goal for today is to like show what's possible. If you've been paying attention at all, or like haven't been paying attention, even like vibe coding is absolutely just taking over right now. So maybe in the chat quickly, I'm curious how many of you are vibe coding already, and if so, what have you used? Whether that be like Lovable, Claude Code, OpenClaw, if you're getting really wild, Claude and Excel. Drop in the chat what you're using. If you haven't done anything yet, like great. I'm glad you're here. Genuinely, like if you are here in this room, like you're on the tip of the spear, honestly. I found out last weekend my brother doesn't know what Claude is, which it feels like my entire world is surrounded by it. But there's still a lot of folks that don't even know what's going on here. So if you haven't used it yet, like it's fine. The best thing you can do is honestly jump in and start playing with it. And so our goal today is to show two things. One, I want to show you like the art of what's possible. I've got two like we've got two like really killer finance leaders lined up here that are not engineers by trade, not developers, have really like taught themselves how to use these tools and have built some really like practical finance and accounting outcomes. So like I said, goal today is to show what's possible. And then like we're doing these every week. And so if you have feedback on what else you'd like to see here, like genuinely, please let us know. We got one suggestion that it'd be great to have someone who's never vibe coded before try to vibe code something live on here and like let's walk through and see the hits we miss and those things. Um, if you have done this a lot before, I'd encourage like while you're here listening and seeing what Samuel and Alex have kind of built here, see what you can vibe code yourself at the same time. And so if you've got an idea you've been cranking with, something you want to play with, it typically takes the models a bit to think on these things. And so maybe drop a prompt as we get started here for something you want to build, and then listen in and let's see what we can do. And so Samuel, can you come off the backstage?
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, man, thanks for being here. Samuel, introduce yourself to the room. Who are
Yeah.
you?
Yeah. Hi, everyone. I'm Samuel. I am the head of strategic finance here at Workshop. Workshop is an enterprise B2B SaaS company. We sell to all industries, and we are the operating system for internal communications. So we're used by companies like Papa John's, Aston Martin, to send all of their communications to employees, get all the analytics. We've been in business for about 5 years now. I've been here for about 2.5 of those years. And just recently last year moved into the head of finance seat. So
Freaking awesome. Do you get free pizza from Papa John's ever?
we sell to all industries. So every time we close a big food vendor, we cater in that food as long as it's here in Omaha. We're headquartered here, Omaha, Nebraska. I was joking with Brock earlier. It's the tech capital of the world. So
The
Omaha's great, man.
what about when you closed Aston Martin? Did you like rent a bunch of Aston Martins and take everybody
we
out?
didn't have that in the budget. We did not have that in the budget.
Wasn't that big of a contract?
Yeah,
Cool.
yeah, exactly.
The okay, so question to get started, Samuel. Are you a developer? Are you an engineer?
Yeah, I am not a developer. I'm not an engineer. I haven't, shipped a line of code in a very long time. I actually started my career as a software engineer, but that was a long time ago. And I am so out of it. It's been years and years of not writing code. Looking at like a terminal scares me a little bit. Yeah,
Terrifying.
very much not an engineer.
Cool. All right. Well, let's like jump in. I want to see what you've built. Let's kind of walk through. So let's like kind of take a step back for a second. What was
Yeah.
the problem you're trying to solve for here?
Yeah.
Because I'm guessing that all the 500 folks in this room will resonate with it.
Yeah, absolutely. So this year I took over pricing and packaging from our sales management, specifically our VP of sales. And since I've been here, I have kind of always been stressed out by how we do pricing. It's always been in a Google sheet, and all of our account executives are. I know. All of our account executives are going into their Google sheet and they're getting their pricing to put together proposals. So not in the actual contract or order form process, but when they're just talking through and proposing pricing to our prospects. We're fully sales led, so maybe that's good context. We don't really do PLG in any way. Um, and yeah, it always kind of stressed me out. And I'm like, one, I don't have any control over pricing. I don't have any control over our discount structure. I'm not informed about it, and it just was wasting a lot of people's times. So then, when I took over pricing this year, I didn't want to, flip everything upside down all at once. So I kind of moved it all over to a different Google sheet and just had a little bit more control over it. But it still kind of created the same problems, and it actually created more work on my plate where, some account executive was like, hey, how do I do this in pricing? Or how do I manage to this discount? Or how do I put this in a contract or a proposal? So it's just created more work for myself, even though I had the control. So what I was really trying to do was like, how could I vibe code an app that one can save myself time, but mostly save account executives time while also giving me the control to continue to own pricing, packaging, discounts, and build out deal desk at Workshop.
Cool. Dude, makes sense. Let's take a look.
Yeah,
Um,
absolutely.
and as folks have questions, either for Samuel or even about like vibe coding in general, feel free to just drop it in the chat, and then we'll try to answer everything we can. But also, like if you know the answer and you're in the chat and much more experienced than the rest of us on here, just jump in. The goal here is to be a community and push each other, forward on this stuff. So, yeah, show us what you built, Samuel.
Yeah, absolutely. I will preface this that I last night like switched this all over to some dummy data. Can you guys see this pricing calculator okay?
Yeah, it looks good.
Sick.
Cool. So I put in all kind of like fake pricing here. But really like the control aspect was important. And we have tons of different pricing SKUs. You can see there's like a lot of information on here. So I was like, how do I make this as simple as possible for someone to use? So really like it's simple boiled down inputs. It's you have add-ons, you have the term length, you have what products and plans you're buying. But the really cool part that I was able to do is after you input the information, let's say you want to select a plan, you can add another option, change the plan, maybe change the term length. And the part that I'm excited about is the actual automatic generation of proposals. So we use PandaDoc here as our CLM. And before this, account executives were going into a Google Sheet. They're getting pricing for maybe one option they want to propose. They're going back to PandaDoc. They're putting in all the pricing. They're going back to the sheet, getting a different option they want to propose, back to PandaDoc. And it's just like prone to human error. So from here, you can generate a proposal in one click and open it up in PandaDoc. Um,
Wait, sorry, but this is connected to PandaDoc?
it is
That's
connected to PandaDoc. Yeah, you can see this demo version for Relay.
It's
This is
awesome.
our boilerplate proposal. Like we don't really change our proposals. Again, this is not the contract. This is just when we're talking through pricing with the prospect. You can see everything about the company overview, the video we include in all of our proposals, all the different options, and then you can see the actual pricing. So I selected an enhanced email plan with a 3-year term, so it automatically includes the right discount structure for multi-year.
Awesome.
And then the same concept here, premium email plan, and this one, same thing. So yeah, saving tons of hours every week for our account executives, but also like saving me the headache. And where I want to take this in the future is pretty cool. Like I have this hooked up to Slack today. So if you're trying to, discount 45%, it's going to let you know that like deal desk approval is going to be required for this, and it's automatically submitting it to our deal desk channel in Slack, um, and requiring approval from deal desk in order to go beyond the scope of what we let our reps do, which is pretty cool. But yeah, any questions on how I
there's
built it, anything like that?
there's been a handful of questions that I want to actually ask because they're the same ones that I've had. First off, this is so cool, Samuel. Like truly awesome. What did you code this in and how did you create this? And what tool did you use to be able to create this?
Yeah. Yeah, so this might sound crazy to some of the people in the chat, but I only used Claude Cowork. Again, I said like terminals scare me a little bit, like, and when Cowork came out, we really we worked hard to get this adopted from all of our leaders to start. So now our leaders are using Cowork every day. But I was
Yeah,
particularly excited about it because I kind of like peeled the onion and I realized like Cowork is just Claude code with a nice UI on top of it and
correct.
less abilities to like go into the file system and edit and delete and change files in your file system. And I'm like, what I'm trying to do is just build things like create files. So maybe this will work. And I was super surprised at how well it worked. Like I probably got to the state that you guys are seeing here in maybe 10 back and forth prompts or less. And it was just like a couple days of tweaking, some feedback from reps. Like it was a really quick and fun process. The only
Awesome.
thing I did in Cowork was I was toggling between what model I was using. So I was using Sonnet 4.6 to actually understand the logic of our pricing. So I dropped in an Excel version of our pricing calculator and I kind of talked through the nuances of add-ons and discounts and anything we might want to change from how we do it today. And Sonnet's, I think, less of the data analyst model and more of like the creative, I would say.
Yeah.
So I use Sonnet to kind of like deeply understand how we operate, how we work at Workshop. And then I toggled it over to Opus to actually build the app for me.
That's super smart.
Nice. Let's walk that back real quick, make sure folks understood that, 'cause I think that's really key. And so you provided the Excel file with all the
Yep.
pricing stuff before, like basically the Google Sheet the reps were using
Yep.
previously,
Exactly. Yep.
and
So
gave a bunch of additional context and said like, now this is what I want to go build.
yeah, and I think that was probably the most important work in the process. And I'm sure Brock, you would echo this of like taking the time up front to be really detailed, specific, and give as much context as possible in those initial prompts. I think that's probably the most important thing I did in this entire process, was just making sure that like the co-work chat I had going had really good understanding of what I was trying to accomplish and what specific nuances were needed to get there. And yeah, it turned out great.
Dude, this is awesome. And I totally agree with you. Um, what's that what's that quote? To chop down a tree, if you have 4 hours to chop down a tree, 5 hours to chop down a tree, you spend the first four sharpening the axe.
Yep, exactly.
I probably butchered it a bit, but like that's how I felt with all of the things that we've been creating. If you can spend time up front, pressure test your prompt, use and like I don't know if you did something similar, but like I've typically seen that like I will use Claude and I will write out my initial prompt of what I'm trying to build and have it pressure test everything and have it refine the prompt so it could be the most efficient that it could be, utilize the least amount of credits as possible, and usually you get a pretty good prompt after that. So I don't know if you do something similar, but
Yep,
uh
absolutely. Maybe not in this scenario, but like I'm constantly going back and forth between different LLMs.
yeah,
So it's like jump to ChatGPT to maybe go refine my prompt and then jump back to Claude to like optimize token usage. And then you get to this point where you have a really robust prompt. And something I like to do is like I have this setting in my like Claude MD file, but I tell all of my LLMs to operate from first principles. What I mean by that is like ask why, poke holes, like assume nothing is set in stone and nothing is right. And then what happens is Claude's asking me questions that I might not have thought about in the initial
I
prompt,
love this.
and it's just going to create a better workflow from the start when they're already poking holes before that Claude even builds something for me.
That's so
Amazing.
awesome.
Lots of questions in the chat. So one, like, did you ask it to make you an app, a website? What did you ask for it to build specifically? And then let's talk through deployment.
Yeah, absolutely. So I asked it to make me a web app, and from the start, I think this goes along with deployment. From the start, I knew where I wanted this to live. So this lives in Okta for us. We use Okta SSO. And I knew from the start that I wanted this to live in Okta to where we can provision and reps can access it with one
Hmm,
Okta button.
I didn't know you could host an Okta. Cool.
Yep. Yeah. So we have yeah, basically like Okta is kind of the security layer for us. And that's, we're hosting the app just via Okta. Um, and there were kind of two pieces to it of like, one is like, okay, build me the skeleton to do it. And then the actual phase of getting it live, something cool we're working on internally is actually building the skeleton so we can, without someone who might not even know how Okta works, could get an app live in Okta. We're calling it Workshop Studio internally, but we're doing the work on the back end. So like you don't have to, because that's kind of the hardest step in a lot of this is like, what's the next 20%, 10% to actually get this live? Um, and it definitely was in this process too. Luckily, we just brought on an AI operations engineer to the team whose sole focus is internal AI tooling, which has been great. So yeah, building that skeleton, but yeah, it lives in Okta. Told it to build a web app. And one important caveat I didn't talk about was connecting to PandaDoc. So that took a lot of planning as well. I had it build the web app first, but before any PandaDoc connection happened, I did a lot of prompting just to plan how this PandaDoc connection is going to work. So it read through all of PandaDoc's API. It deeply understood like how you can interact with templates via API. And before any type of connection was made with PandaDoc, we were at a point, me and Claude were at a point where we deeply understood what needed to be done to make it happen. And then it was easy from there.
Well, that's awesome. A couple follow-ups from here. This is actually the second time I've heard of someone hiring like an AI specialist internally.
Yep.
So another CFO I met a few weeks back, they have a SVP of
Yep.
AI, and their whole role is just to enable the organization,
Yep.
which
Exactly.
I really like because on one hand, I think we should all be doing this and pushing on this. And also it's honestly in some ways easier to have someone come from the outside and
Yep.
help you fix the process. Like we've always had finance transformation roles
Yep.
at companies, especially bigger ones. Like, why not have an AI specialist as well?
Absolutely. Absolutely.
No, this
Some
is awesome.
questions in
And
here about like security. Go ahead, Brock.
oh, I was gonna say the one thing that I think super unique is like you thought through this whole process, but I also want to just note like and ask, I guess, how difficult would you say it was to like actually connect to Slack or actually connect to PandaDoc because like I've created some connections before. Sometimes they work really seamlessly, sometimes they don't. Like just want everyone to know like there are moving parts, but like for the most part, it's pretty easy once you have it mapped out correctly. Would you agree, Samuel?
I would 100% agree. I think if I said, just one shot prompt, connect this to PandaDoc, connect this to Slack, we want this to live in Okta, it probably would have not been great on any of the
Yeah,
prompts. But I did a lot of planning and prompting before we even made any of those connections, so that it made it really easy when you actually were ready to connect it to PandaDoc and Slack in our case.
100%. No, I agree. I completely agree. That's awesome.
And some questions in here about security. I'm curious, Samuel and Brock, how you both think about it. But I think one thing to make clear for folks here is this is just code. And so like there's no necessarily like any sensitive data in
Yep.
here that Claude has access to. I mean, in this case, like Samuel did provide the pricing calculator. So I guess now Claude has access, in theory to how they price. Could have also done it with very dummy data and then
Yep.
just built this code and then added in, his specific data later. So important to remember here, like this is just code, right? That gets
Yeah.
deployed. This is not like there's circumstances where you can, connect Cloud directly to ERP and things like that. So then security is a bit of a different question depending on what you want to do. But for this, like this is just raw code that's been built that Samuel is then deployed onto
Yep.
his instance.
Exactly. This might blow people's minds. This is one file. It's a single file. There's no database. Like it is a single file. And we made that decision kind of with internal tools early on of like it's easier to hard code some numbers in and get something live than it is to like set up database infrastructure. And this is a perfect example where it is doing exactly what I wanted to do, and it's saving people time and it's serving its purpose without needing any infrastructure, database, or anything like that.
Yeah, makes sense. Dan, this was built purely in Cloud Cowork, so no Lovable.
No
And
love.
so then, like my next question there, Sam, like I think that makes sense, right? That's really cool. No database, all that stuff. I remember the first time I built a Lovable website. It was for this conference we were hosting, and I shared it with our engineers and said, "Hey, like give me feedback on this. Like, is it secure?" And they said, like, "Yes, it's secure. It's the worst code we've ever seen." I'm like, fair enough, like makes sense, right?
Yep. Yep.
When
But I'm
I did
curious, like.
mine, when I did mine, they actually said, "This actually looks really good." And I was like, "Well, don't show me the code because I wouldn't understand it to
Yep.
save my life. Like I have no idea." And I'm like, "Well, it was all Lovable that did it." So similar but different.
Awesome. Now, how did you protect against hallucinations, Samuel? Or like, did you have any? Like, did it create stuff that you didn't tell it to, or not create something you did want it to initially?
Um, it did. It did create stuff I didn't want it to. That was like, so I mentioned earlier, it was about 10 to 15 back and forth prompts to get it to where we're at today. And honestly, like the last eight or nine was like, besides the data connection pieces, was like, hey, a couple points of feedback here. And like in detail explain like, okay, like this discount shouldn't work this way. Like it should be this type of discount. It should only be a toggle. It should only be this. It should only be that. Or this add-on is not priced properly. And it did take a lot of QA from that perspective. And I think it was like that. That was a lot of the work was just me testing it. Getting a couple account executives to test it out for me. But yeah, it did hallucinate for sure. It wasn't anything massive, like it still structurally was there. It was usually just minor details. And I think the reason it was only minor details was because I was so intentional about the initial prompts, like down to, buttons and layouts and, how things operate and how things work with each other. So,
That's awesome. The and for some questions about like deploying it, and so make sure like just I guess like best practice for folks in the room, ask Claude or ChatGPT, whichever one you're using, how to deploy it. Like that's really the best way to
yeah.
go. Like it can literally walk you through either how to connect to Vercel or Supabase or Netlify. Like there's tons of options out there to do this. It can walk you through the entire thing. Like I've literally asked like, okay, how do I set this up? It's like open a terminal. I'm like, what is a terminal? Right? Like you can literally like ask all the dumb questions and not feel embarrassed, and it will walk you through the process. And if it doesn't, like just say, hey, that didn't work. Give me another option. Right. And so you can give it a lot of feedback and get kind of, what you need to. But so saying like crystal clear here, you built all this code in Claude code and then took the code, put it into Okta. Is that right? Like I've not used Okta before
So
for
we
this.
we're
Like,
actually we're deploying this via Cloudflare, but we have everything living in Okta behind the Okta wall. So it's really just like it's a Cloudflare worker at the end of the day.
got
Um,
it. Okay. It's like,
but
sorry, you took the code like from Claude, gave it to your engineers, and they put it into Cloudflare.
our AI operations engineer, yeah. And what again,
Sick.
like what's I think deployment is always the most daunting part for someone who's not technical is like, how do I actually get this live? I
Yep.
think Lovable is a really great option where you can do it inside of Lovable. You can deploy a website inside of Lovable. It may or may not have the security layer that you're looking for, and that's why we chose as an organization to go down this Cloudflare and Okta route where we've now, we're a day away from anyone at the company vibe coding any app and can just with a Claude skill can submit it and a PR gets shipped to our AI operations engineer ready to deploy on Cloudflare, ready to be behind Okta. And I think like making the decisions on where do we deploy internal tools like this is more of the internal decision to make.
Yeah, that makes sense. Because I don't know about all years experience, but I always find getting assistance from the finance and accounting side, it's impossibly difficult. Like I'm always asking for stuff from data team or want this assembled or whatever. And just being able to do it ourselves is really where like the magic happens. But it's much easier to say, hey, I built this, go deploy it, than it's like, hey, can you build this for me? Right? Like much easier to get the buy-in there. It's easier for them to go host this. Like I still need help from the team, but much easier for me to go and build it than just constantly ask like this, like you don't have engineering resources for this. There's no way you could get them to build this for you. And you probably don't want them to either.
No, no, I don't want them spending time on this.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but
Uh,
incredibly useful for the organization, right?
exactly. Exactly. And I think you said it best. Like there's a million options that are out there to deploy an internal tool or any app that you're building. We chose to go this route, which may or may not be a little more complex. It was just an organizational decision we made. But if you're just looking to be scrappy, there's a million options. You can do it inside of Lovable if that's what you're using. But you mentioned like Superbase and some others. Like there's lots of great options.
Cool. Any other comments, Samuel or Brock, last questions from you, and then we can bring Alex up. This is so cool, Samuel.
I'm
Nothing
all
for
good.
me.
I just want to hear from Alex. He's done some stuff.
This is awesome, Samuel. Way to go, man. I think what's cool about this is you look at this and it looks like something that I would definitely buy and use, right? And you built this with like just typing it out and figuring it out and making it work. And I think that's what's so powerful about the tools that we have today is you can go out and build stuff like this. Even if you guys didn't even use this and we're just like, look, this is kind of what I'm trying to convey. And like you made some prompts and so you can at least paint a picture to people and explain it like it's insane. So nice job, man. This is awesome.
Yeah, I appreciate it. One last comment that I forgot to mention is I think in the age of vibe coding, brand guides are more important than ever. Instead of me, making 100 edits on colors and format and design, we have a very large brand guideline deck. And I drop that into anything I'm vibe coding, and I never have to think about brand at all. So that's my last comment. Appreciate the
Cool.
time.
But one more question for you, Samuel, before you jump. At some point, you're going to want to make updates to this,
Yeah.
right? Are you
Yep.
gonna like, how do you anticipate making updates since this is literally one folder?
Yeah, absolutely. For us, with the tool that we built, Workshop Studio here internally, in Claude, I can run that skill and just be like, hey, I want to make updates to this, and here are the updates I want to make, and it automatically ships a PR for review. So
Well, that's sick. We'll have to dive into that later because that sounds next level.
yeah,
Amazing. Samuel, thanks for coming on.
yeah. Thank you guys.
Yeah, and then Alex, I think we've got you hiding back there. If you want to come join the party.
What's up, guys?
Hey, Alex. Um,
Come on, Alex.
Alex, introduce yourself to the room. Who are you?
All right. I'm Alex. I am head of finance here at Quorum. I am down in the South Bay, in the Bay Area. I've been at Quorum about 9 months and started using Cloud Code literally a month ago. And my mind's just been blown since then. Like I am completely, it's like crack. I'm just like completely hooked on it. And anything that I feel is a problem that needs to be solved, I just decide I'm going to solve it in Claude.
Incredible. Honestly, like I'm so excited for this. Alex and I were chatting yesterday, and he showed me what he was doing, like literally broke my brain about like what's possible here. Alex, I think you have a Substack as well that folks can follow and see how you're building stuff.
Yeah, I decided like I this is something I'm really interested in, and I just want to share with people how to do it because it's like literally I've never coded anything in my life. I mean I built a website once like 20 years ago, and it's like I don't know what the hell I'm doing. I just ask Claude to do things and it figures it out. I'm like, if I can do it, anyone can. So
So cool.
decided to write about it because it's, a creative outlet. So
Hmm. Sweet. Let's jump in. Let's look at what you built.
all right. Let me
I
share
also
my
see
screen.
MySpace popping in the chat. I have not heard of MySpace in a minute,
MySpace.
man. Dude, I don't know where
Alex, I think you
MySpace
were
Tom is
there.
at.
Yeah,
MySpace Tom made it,
Tom.
man.
Tom was my first friend. Alex, we definitely need to get the name of your Substack. I think
All
everyone
right.
here would be
I
very
will I will throw it in the chat later.
Love to
Um,
find it.
so one thing that was fun about this is I have this all built out with Quorum's data. Yesterday or 2 days ago when Steven asked me to join, I was like, well, I can't share all of this. So I asked Claude to build a demo version of it with dummy data across the entire platform. So all of this is dummy data. We can dig into everything. And some of it may not work because I haven't done that much testing on the demo side. But basically, I decided that I wanted to build out an entire finance portal. Now, this started with just I needed to solve one problem, which was I have an accountant on my team, but I still do RevRec, and it is uh, I hate it. It takes me like 4 or 5 hours every month. I'm always the person that's holding up the close. It's just like it's horrible. And so I figured like it's very programmatical. It's just like I download this file from tabs. We get a list of all of our revenue items. I have to do some manipulation because we pull discounts out and recognize discounts differently than we can in tabs. Um, and it just takes forever because you have to then validate it against what came through HubSpot, what's in your contracts, that kind of stuff. So I asked Claude to build it, connected through Tabs API. Again, I don't know what I'm doing. I just asked Claude to do it and put my API keys in there. I said, make sure it's secure, whatever, all these things. And
Make no
then
mistakes.
yeah, make no mistakes. Exactly.
Sorry, quick question. Did you put the API keys directly in Claude? Because I've done that before and it immediately freaks out and says, stop, stop, stop. This
It,
is security.
I did. Yeah, I did that. And it did say, don't do that again. It reprimanded me. It said put it in your env local file, whatever. And so from then on, I did that. But
Yeah. Yeah. And I'm like,
yeah,
how do I, like, what is an env local file? How do I do this?
yeah.
Uh,
How do you even find it? Because it's a hidden file in the folder. So you have to like command option period or something to find. I can't remember.
yeah.
But yeah,
Yeah.
you
Yeah.
can find the
Exactly.
file and then when you host it on Vercel, there's just an env local section where you put all your API keys in and it'll pull them. So I built RevRec first, and that is under automation. So basically, the way it works now is this is plugged into tabs, it's plugged into QuickBooks. Um, I just click review, it runs the API pull, it gives me my RevRec output. This is not very well formatted because it's dummy data, but it gives me the preview. Once I'm okay with it, I hit run and it posts it directly to QuickBooks for me.
Oh my goodness.
So now
Okay.
RevRec is done in 2 clicks. Now,
Sorry. Stop there.
Go
You
ahead.
said it's pushing to QuickBooks.
Yes.
How did you get it to push to QuickBooks?
So I had to get an Intuit developer's license to do this. And again, I don't know. I didn't know how to do that. I thought, oh, you could get QuickBooks API keys, fine, whatever. QuickBooks doesn't make it that easy because it's obviously financial data. They assume if you're getting API keys that you're trying to sell an app on their marketplace. So I first tried to get develop or a development key, which you can use, but you can only use dummy data. So you can only use sandbox data if you do that. Um, so to get a production license, you have to fill out this, like they say it's a 45-minute long form, all with questions that I don't know how to answer. Um, so one day after Claude Cowork came out, I was like, can Cowork do this? So I put Cowork on one of my screens and I opened the developer application and I said, Cowork, can you fill out this form? And it asked for access to the browser and then it just started working and it filled out the entire, I mean, it takes forever. Like watching Cowork work in your browser is horrible. So you have to do other things while it's doing it. But like an hour later, it was filled out and submitted, and instantly I got access to the keys, and now I have an app that connects to QuickBooks that I can use.
That's
Um,
like that's incredible. That blows my mind. It is like
and
QuickBooks doesn't have API keys, and you're just like, "Hey, Claude, go figure this out," and it
yep,
does.
yep. And
Is
so
this
then you
app
can do
is this
anything in
app now
QuickBooks.
available? Is this app available in the App Store now?
Oh, I don't know. I hope not.
So
Go
that
ahead.
connection makes sense to me. Like, and all of this makes sense. I love this. This is so sick that you made this. How are you getting the data coming in and like getting comfortable over like the calculations themselves, like of RevRec, of prepaids? Like, what's the process before of like having those inputs go through your process, create the output that you need, and then have you feeling comfortable that it actually feeds into QuickBooks? Like, I am so blown away that you created this. This is so awesome. So I'm just curious about those inputs and everything else.
Yeah, so it started, I didn't plan to have it pushed to QuickBooks. All I wanted to do was have it give me a summary journal entry that I would then have my accountant push to QuickBooks.
Gotcha.
But I had it basically run the file and give me an Excel output because when you're running Claude, it can just give you an Excel file based on
Yep.
what it processes. And it gave me a download, and it was formatted really nicely. It had like the summary sheet, the summary tab that had revenue by customer, by item, by month. And then in the next tab, it had created the journal entry output. And it was like nicer and neater than anything I would have done myself. And so obviously, like then there's data trust, right? How do you trust that this is correct? Well, I asked Claude to check the last 18 months of journal entries on our books against doing this for each of those 18 months. So it ran for like 45 minutes, just processing each month one at a time, and then processing, like finding the journal entries in QuickBooks because it has to find it by like your naming convention. It has to be the same, or it's looking by account. So it took it forever, but then it gave me this table, and it was like January 24, QuickBooks revenue this out or model output this, and so it was just 1 month at a time, and almost every month matched. But the 1 month that didn't, I was like, okay, this is obviously a logic problem. Like there's something wrong in how it's processing the data that it's coming out wrong. So I asked Claude, I'm like, can you go literally like line item by customer and figure out what went wrong in June? And it did. And what turned out is we had missed something in June when we were processing RevRec. There was like a customer that came in late that didn't get included in revenue, and Claude caught it, but we didn't. So to me, that was like, okay, this is
More
a
comfort.
it's sick. I'm like completely sold on it. And so I said, is it possible for you to, I just asked Claude, I'm like, is this possible for you to actually push the journal entry to QuickBooks? and it did it. And I went and looked in QuickBooks and I was like, okay, this is cool, but can you add a link to the Excel download in the memo so we can trace back to the actual like summary? So when we get audited, I can say this is the breakdown. And it just like added a link and it downloaded the file for me into our Google Drive. Now, when this goes live, it can't do the download to the Google Drive. I have to just download it from the portal, but I just hit this and it'll download the Excel file, and it's broken because it's dummy data. But
But
it's
even that,
literally like it just downloads the file for
It's
me.
absolutely mental.
like I am so blown away that you built this. And the thing that I think is the craziest part about it is that you started with something, but AI was doing so well that you started pivoting and even adding more and more and more and more until it became this. And you probably never thought you could create something like this, but clearly this is insane.
Yeah,
This is
no, I never
so cool.
planned for it to get here, and it's obviously scope creep. Like I just like kept having ideas and building, and
Yeah.
now it's like a mess, but it works.
Are you
And
still doing your real job?
I I mean, I am, yes. I have two windows, I have three monitors, and I have two of them that are focused on my real job, and one of them that has eight terminal windows going at any time, and I just like look at them and answer questions all day.
This is so cool.
Incredible.
Um, yeah,
With
so
all
then
the
when
time
it
you have
worked with
now, you're
revenue,
traveling the world, seeing things, doing whatever you want. This is insane.
it's one of those things where it's like, oh, you can just do things like it, and it might work. And if me spending like literally end to end, this probably took me 4 hours of work with Claude to
I,
get
I
done.
believe I believe you, and also I'm like, there's no way. Absolutely
And
no way.
it takes me at least 4 hours a month to do this on a monthly basis, and it's like prone for errors. So I mean, it was a no-brainer of how to spend my time.
Can I ask a question? So
Yeah.
this has been asked about 5 or 6 times in here. Like everyone strives for like the fastest close while maintaining accuracy, while
Mhm.
being like top tier across the board, right? Like that is like what everyone's striving for. What was your close time before, and what is your close time now as a result of this?
It's a good question. I think our close time before was probably a 6 business day close end to end.
Okay.
Um,
Which is
and
good.
that sixth day, it was always my accountant like, hey, have you posted revenue? Have you posted COGS? Those are the two things I'm responsible for. Have you posted revenue? Have you posted COGS? No, I'll get to it later. I've got a million other things I'm working on. And so now that day is taken off, and it's probably 5 days now. I mean, like I'm not like super strict about it because it's not my number one priority, but it's obviously important and we want to get the books closed. So it's probably about 5 days now. My goal though, like as I did this, I'm like, no, all of this can be done. Like all 90% of the like manual work of the close can be automated now. And that's
I
today. It just takes time to build it.
I love that. I think the biggest thing that people need to hear from that is like anywhere that you can find rules-based, repeatable actions, they need to find solutions to automate there. And anything that requires judgment still is going to be on your hands. But if you can
Mhm.
remove every single rules-based task that you need to do, which is a lot for most people in finance, they need to find automation solutions, which you have, which I commend you for. Like this is so cool. Very, very cool.
Yeah. And the most important part for me was like, can it do it? Great, but can I actually validate that what it's doing is correct? And can
Yes.
we have this savable in a folder so when we're going through audit, I can say this is the backup for it. And I mean, that was like priority one all along the way. So it's like the data has to be right and it has to be checked in multiple ways. So the revenue is checked against HubSpot every time it runs because it's also connected to HubSpot. So it pulls from tabs, but it's also pulling from HubSpot and it's mapping them against each other. And when there's an issue, it'll flag it.
And you also ran this back in time, just like repeating this so
Hmm.
everyone knows, like, because like a lot of people keep talking about the accuracy and validity.
Hmm.
You went back in time and compared it against what you guys had done, and it
Hmm.
was correct, 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 correct. And then there was one period that was off, and that one period that was off was a mistake on your team that the AI caught for you, right? So like you feel very
Yep.
confident in this.
I feel very confident in it.
I
Yep.
love that. That's awesome.
Yep. More
There's
confident than I do in my own work. So
This is so
same,
cool.
same. The question on like what volume of transactions you're recording. This is still pretty small today, from what I understand.
yeah, I mean, we have like 400 customers. It's a lot of line items, to be honest. Like each customer
Yep.
probably has 15 to 20 SKUs because we're a hardware business. So there's a lot to process every month. It's probably a 20,000 row download from tabs that I get on a
That's a lot.
monthly basis that it's being processed. But it's really about scalability too. It's like we're growing fast. So doing it manually now is doable, but at a certain point you run up against limits.
Yeah, yeah, makes sense. Question on where is this hosted? Like this is obviously dummy, this is locally hosted, but where do you host it in production?
Uh, on Vercel behind a Google single sign-on. So
Okay,
only our CEO, me, and our accountant have access today.
okay, nice. Why Vercel?
I don't know. It's what Claude told me to do.
It's awesome. Claude is about to be like become the customer acquisition point for the future for all
I
vendors.
mean, it told me to do Supabase. It told me to do Vercel. It told me to push to GitHub. Like, I don't know what any of these things are, but it it did it. And I also
Doesn't
like
matter.
all along the way, I was like, what do I need to do to make sure these things are secure, stable, agile? And it's like in the Cloud MD file for this project to make sure that it is all of these things. And I prompted, I'm like, act as though you are a senior engineer building this. Like you need to think in those terms. And
Yep.
so it builds tests into it. And like every time we push something, it's like 77 of 77 tests completed. Honestly, I have no idea what that even means, but it's testing it and it's figuring it out. And so it's trying to make it as stable as possible. And like this was pushed by our engineers before it went live. So it was like they made sure that it was reasonably secure also.
I think
I,
that's a great call out because everything that I've done and actually gone live with, I've brought in members of our team to just review it and make sure that it's safe. Because
Yeah.
like you said, like you don't know. Like in all reality, you don't know if the code is secure. And like this is financial data. This is arguably one of the most important
yes.
pieces of information, right? That and payroll data are like things that you're like, I cannot have a
Yeah.
security threat on this. So like involving like people in the chat keep asking about security. Always involve like members of your security team. Always involve some engineer to like really be the pressure test after everything's said and done and created. But as you can see, like a lot of
And
these tools can get you basically there right up front because they tested it's
and
going through. So
yeah.
go ahead.
And to be honest, like this would be just as valuable to me if it was locally hosted. So
100%.
then your API keys aren't hitting anything. Like there's very, I mean, there's not no risk because you're still pushing data to Supabase. You have to trust the security of Supabase. But like at a certain point, you also have to trust the security of QuickBooks. You have to trust the security of AWS. Like it is always possible that data gets lost, but the value add to me is worth the small security trade-off.
Yeah, I think so too. And kind of question here, a lot of folks asking like, how do you get started with this? How do we get on your level? Alex, did you take any classes, seminars? Did you like talk to your brother Sam, about how to like be really good at AI?
No, I had an idea and I asked Claude how to do it. Like literally. So, I mean, the one thing I did is I sit right next to our CEO and our head of marketing, and our CEO was basically teaching our head of marketing how to do this, and I overheard the conversation. Not how to build this, but how to connect Claude to a terminal. I didn't know what a terminal was, but these are what terminals are. Um,
Oh, we're
and
not seeing your terminals.
oh, okay. Hold on. Let's see.
You're really gonna break people's brains with this one.
This one is gonna put people.
You're not actually related to Sam, are you, Alex?
I'm not, no. Um, so this is like a standard day in my terminal window. These are all terminal windows. These are live. I don't think there's anything that's you shouldn't be able to
Someone
see on
shipped me
here.
a brown paper bag because I stopped breathing over here.
Yeah. Okay. So sorry. Let's level set for all the confused finance and accounting people in the room, like myself. So these are Claude Code
So
terminals.
no, so it is iTerm. So I just open a new one. This is iTerm 2. You download this and it's a command line interface, which again, I've looked up what this means. It just means that you're communicating directly with the computer. So once you open a new one, you would just say
I
Claude.
just I just went to the matrix for a second. You
And
said you
now
said
it's plugged
communicating
in.
directly with the computer.
Yeah. So now it's connected to Claude. You have to install Claude on your iTerm to get here. Um, but there's you can ask Claude how to do that. So then I can say, what are you connected to today?
And
That's
I just want to clarify, Alex, you're not a developer, not an engineer. Like Claude taught you how to do all of this.
I was just
Yep.
gonna say, this is literally, I tried to get MCP integration set up and I could not figure it out. And I went to Claude and I said, how do I do it? And they started saying, this is like, you have to use this command and this terminal. And I started doing the exact same thing and got it to work. It is
Yep.
so crazy. The first couple times you do it, you're like, this does not feel right. This feels like way above my pay grade, but it's way easier than you'd think it would be.
Yeah.
It is. And you just start small, right? It's like for me, it was just I started with one thing I wanted to solve, and then I got hooked. And I'm like, oh,
Yeah.
there's 1,000 things I want to solve now. And so that's when I started opening, 15 different terminal windows at the same time, all working on different things.
And in some ways, if I can like really oversimplify this, like if you remember the first time you did like a VLOOKUP or SUMIF or
Mhm.
like index match, like it's not this complicated, but it's that same concept, right? Where like previously, I don't know, you're doing a sum and you're like adding these one by one and filtering and like doing everything, and you do with the formula in Excel, and it's just like, whoa, like this is incredible, right? This is obviously like 1,000x that, but it's the same kind of principles and concepts is it's just formulas and language.
Yep. And I think that's a big key is like the way to not be afraid of like Claude Code can hallucinate for sure, but once it's built, you have to test and test and test and make sure there's no issues with the logic. But once it's built, it's just code. It's not like communicating with Claude Code to get the data. It's figuring out how to connect the data and then giving you the output. But Claude is not manipulating the data for you. And it shouldn't be because you don't want Claude doing that. You wouldn't trust the output. Although that being said, I did add a chat function here so I can ask Claude about
Oh,
the data, about any piece of the data. This is more just for fun, but like you can ask how many employees are in engineering and it'll give you an output eventually. Um, and so you can do this, but I wouldn't trust most of the output here.
well, and like this is a dumb question, but like even this one little feature, like this little chatbot, how difficult was it to create this chatbot? I feel like I know the answer, but I want to hear your thoughts. Like how easy was it? How difficult was it to create this?
I had to ask my CEO for an Anthropic API key, and that was it. I told Claude add a chat feature. I did have to say, like, make sure that the questions you're answering are data backed. Like you are answering questions only from the data. You are not making things up. You are not guessing. Like no fuzzy matching, no guessing, none of that. And I was like, put that in the like rules file, the MD file, And then it does it pretty good. I mean, I don't use this very often. I just thought it was kind of fun for like if my
Sure.
CEO wanted to ask a question, he can ask the chatbot instead of asking me. So
I love that. It's crazy because like there's some times where I've created little things like this, or I've created like single sign on, or I've created like Google, like you can sign in through your Gmail, right? And you prompt it and all of a sudden it works and it tests it and then all of a sudden it's just live and you're like, wait, what? Like it was literally that easy. So this is awesome, man. Like I'm super impressed with this. This is so cool.
Alex, which cloud plan are you on?
oh, I'm on whatever the top one is. I don't know. I use more tokens than most of
20x.
our engineers.
It's
Is that
incredible.
what it is? 20x?
Yeah, I
Yeah,
mean
it's
it's
like
funny because there was a day a few weeks ago where I like hadn't been using it that much, and my CEO was like pulled up the token usage across the company, and he judges like he wants to see people at the top. That's like you are doing well if you are using tokens, and I was like middle of the pack. He's like, you're not using enough tokens. I was like, okay, challenge accepted. Um, and that's when all of this came into play. But
Man, that is incredibly epic. I love
yeah,
that. The okay, so back to the screen here. We've got like 3 minutes left here.
yeah.
The Alex, anything else that's like quick to highlight? We might just bring Alex back on next week and do this again. Make him like live vibe code something for us.
Yeah, I'm happy to do that. I don't know. I mean, in 3 minutes, it's hard to cover too much. My favorite, this is a new project I'm working on, so I haven't gone too far on this, but I'm building a forecast planner that essentially you can set drivers, you can like split by vendor, apply growth formulas to it, um, and it will give you forecast. This was all built on the back. I just like spent a month in December building like a really detailed uh, business model in Excel. And it's like, why don't I just make this happen in
Yeah.
in a portal that we can then compare against actuals? You can then do scenario planning. You can do like all the things that you would want to get out of this. So this is work in progress, but we're
Yeah.
getting there.
Like what blows my mind here, and I think is like maybe the takeaway for the room is even if you spent like $30,000 in tokens on this, you're still like replacing a ton of software. And even if this only gives you another 6 to 12 months, like it's fine, right? If you still go buy a dashboard into a later, or like get a month and close tool or like whatever, it doesn't matter. The point is like this is extending your life on your current set of tools. And maybe like you'll just vibe code forever on these things.
I mean, my perspective is the output I'm getting from this is better than I will from most like month-end close modeling tools that because it's and I mean I think anyone can do it, which is why I'm like I don't know. I mean, at a certain scale, you would need something more structured, but
Yes.
at the early stage, early even mid stage, I really don't think you do.
Well, amazing. Amazing.
I agree with
We're
that. Everyone talks about SaaS being dead, and everyone talks about how it's just going to be non-existent, right? I think there's a happy trade-off between everything because I think on an enterprise level, creating something like this on an enterprise scale is very, very, very challenging, I would say.
For sure.
yeah,
But like
agreed.
you said, mid-market SMB, smaller companies, people can be able to do this for sure. Like you've done it. Like this is the proof is in the pudding. Like you literally did it,
Yeah.
which is so impressive. Um, but yeah, I would love to know tokens wise. I don't know if you can hear my daughter slamming on the door, but I don't know tokens wise. I would be very interested to see like overall how many tokens you've used, how much like an estimated
I'll
cost.
find out. I
Yeah.
don't know. I will ask.
Cool. Well,
I'll
yeah,
ask what it's been in the last month.
we'll follow up there. We're coming up on time here. I see folks dropping off. To continue the conversation, I'll have Dara drop the link in the chat. We have a Slack group called Close Club for finance folks. So we have a whole channel specifically talking about AI. That's actually where I met. Well, I guess I met Alex a while back, but where I found out that he was a wizard on these things and asked him to come here. So if you want to like join the club and like go deep on these things, like please click the link. We'll also send it in the follow-up email. But yeah, I hope your minds were as blown as mine were today. And also like genuinely like you can do this. Alex is obviously incredibly intelligent and like incredibly like, just hard at these things. But also like this is all possible, right? He didn't take a class. He's not Sam Altman's brother. He's just a finance person like the rest of us. And so, go build.
For sure.
Awesome. Thank you, everybody. Happy weekend.
Cheers.
Thanks, guys.
Thanks, guys.